This video is a information session, is a presentation on what true Kung Fu training is and true iron body training as it relates to chuan fa, which would be fighting systems, or what we refer to commonly here as Kung Fu in the West, which is simply an acquired skill that you get, okay, that you earn through a persevered, determined, intensified effort over a determined or an undetermined length of time. Okay, that's how we're going to define this. So I'm going to be giving away a lot of insider knowledge here. It's going to be very quick, so if you have to, get a piece of paper and a pen and take some notes. All right. The first thing I want to do is I want to define what iron hand or iron body training is as it applies to fight training. Okay, iron hand is a way that you can condition your hand, okay, to make your hand stronger, okay, denser, meaning thick and calloused, okay, through a process of slightly damaging the hand, so that when the osteoclast, the cells in the bones, go through a process of cortical remodeling and they heal, okay, and the small fissures and the cracks heal, that it gets stronger. Okay, it's like forging steel, folding steel and banging on steel. That is what you're doing when you are practicing iron body. The training itself, so you're hitting the bones, guys. Okay, well, in order to do that, okay, and to be able to deploy that club at the end of your wrist as a weapon, you train and you hit and you smash solid objects. You condition against things that have gradual, increasing progressions of solidness, different substrates, different things. The reason being is we're talking about a relaxation exercise through a full range of motion with an accompanying force impact, that being the equivalent of a report or what they refer to as a form. Okay, that's what this is. There is no set form for this. It's not a style. It's not a system. It is a method of training your body to weaponize certain parts of your body. That's what this is. Now, when you apply that combatively and you hit a person, we're talking about a fully relaxed, whip-like strike through a full range of motion, full follow-through, through the exposed or anatomical weaknesses, meaning vital target areas of the human anatomy in front of you, whether it's an assailant, a mugger, an opponent. Okay, that's what it is, guys. Now, that justifies why these guys hit bricks, they break boards, coconuts, because they're testing how hard they can hit against a solid inanimate object. For example, a stack of boards will be representative of the ribs. Okay, that's why oftentimes you see these karate guys, they use spacers in between. There's spaces in between the ribs. Okay, and you say, oh, well, they're hitting down on it. Yes, they are. The reason why is what they're not telling you is when you go to deploy these strikes, you're going to put that person in a precarious position where they're stretched to one side, maybe they're twisted, maybe they're stretched and twisted, where this is like this, where you're bending that person backwards like that through a controlling motion, which in Filipino martial arts they refer to as like truncada or dumog, which would be like a wrestling hold, or Chinese martial arts, chin na or kin na, which would be the art of seizing and locking, placing that person in a stasis of arrest where they cannot fight back and they are vulnerable to a full power, fully committed, fight-ending strike. Okay? So when you develop these skills, you are developing the ability that if you are able to successfully hit somebody in a self-protection type scenario or a situation or a fight, okay, we're talking about martial arts here, that you have the potential to end that confrontation with one successful strike. So you're either going to hurt them severely to a point where they cannot continue, injure them where they can't continue, okay? Cripple them with maiming effect, or even possibly kill them with one sharp, full power whip-like strike. That is why in Chinese martial arts of commonly Kung Fu or Chuan Fa, you practice in a relaxed state, guys. So your primary mover in that particular motion, you will use a type 2A fast twitch explosive muscle fiber. We're talking about a fast twitch response of the skeletal muscle accompanying to that particular hand weapon or foot weapon, whatever you're doing, okay, to produce a maximally crippling effect. So you say, okay, well, how do you do that? Well, you have to have certain skills of hitting, meaning pugilism or boxing or kickboxing, chuan. Okay? And you have to know how to put somebody in a state of arrest or compliance where you can do that. I mean, you have to know how to wrestle and how to grapple. So we're talking about a fundamental approach to kickboxing and grappling at a base core root structure. That's what Kung Fu is for combat. Okay, now there are different ways that you can train that. Okay, there are different vital charts, basic striking charts. Okay, and then depending upon how intelligent this person's particular personalized approach is to their Kung Fu, okay, they may know an in-depth study of acupuncture, different things like that, and they know how to affect somebody's body on a minute level, okay, to cause damage. Okay, there are some very, very crafty people out there with a lot of time on their hands that are conditioned, fully physically conditioned, that know how to do this. Alright? It takes a certain kind of person with a certain kind of focus, an intensified, determined, intentional effort. You know, this is a skill that is acquired with a certain degree of intent. Okay, guys? I'm giving it to you guys straight because there are a lot of people that are bullshitting you guys. They're breaking all kinds of bricks and coconuts and this, that, and the other. I've got news for you. It's incredibly difficult to break a coconut. Incredibly difficult. Even for an expert who's been doing it for years. Alright, these guys are using soft coconuts that are not fully dried yet. Okay? That maybe have a hole drilled in them, or it has some kind of a suture going around. Alright? And then the bricks that these guys are using oftentimes are charcoal, compressed charcoal bricks, or they're sun-dried clay bricks, maybe even a cinder brick. These are believe me, dramatically easier to break than something that is reinforced concrete with iron dust and granite chips inside that has been compressed. Alright, like a patio paver slab or a patio paver brick, We're talking about two completely different mediums here, guys. Okay, so there's a huge difference between the people who are legit and 90% of the crap that you guys are seeing on the YouTube. So recently, I had several people ask me to re-upload all my breaks and my training process and this, that, and the other. And again, just to reiterate, the reason why is they want to copy that. Well, it doesn't work like that, guys. This is a slow approach that takes years and years that you have to teach yourself, essentially, and hopefully under the supervision of a qualified teacher, a qualified expert. All right, there are a lot of people throwing around terms like Sifu, Saihu, different things like master, grandma. Trust me, that is completely pretentious. The people who have the actual skill, who know how to do that, they're not going around advertising that shit, guys. I hate to break it to you. They're few and far in between. And you'll notice that, a lot of these guys who used to upload the different shit on the Facebook and YouTube, they're no longer around. And I would actually debate their abilities anyway, just simply based upon the fact that, a lot of these guys were overweight, they weren't too athletic. It didn't exactly look like they were putting in the time, if you catch my drift. So we're talking about a full speed, full power, fully relaxed, whipping strike with full follow through at a target, whether it's a brick, a board, somebody's face, their sternum, any kind of vital part of the human anatomy, the eyes, the throat, the groin, the knees. Those are going to be your primary targets, fellas. All right. Then you have different things like a bow and arrow punch, heart-piercing strikes. That's where the real legit kung fu training lies, guys. And then you have different ways, different application in order to be able to do that, which is why we study traditional lineage-based forms like tiger crane, praying mantis, different things like that. You would never fight like that. Again, these are things that you would deploy logically, if you're grounded in reality, from a kickboxing and grappling type of structure. All right, that's what we refer to as structure. Your fighting platform that you base your kung fu application off of. You're not going to be waving your hands around in the air like fucking Kwai Chang Kang from fucking kung fu, or these different kung fu movies. Those are for entertainment. It's not going to look anything like that, I can assure you. If you deploy these skills, most of these fights you're going to have are going to be over in seconds. All right, that's why it is so dangerous to do these. That's why these skills are so closely guarded. All right, now let's talk about this thing they call dit da jiao for a sec. All right, that's like a fall hit line. It's a medicine. Okay, they have different kinds for different kinds of conditioning. The better the medicine that you have, the training formula, the harder you can condition, because it will expedite the recovery process. All right, there's certain herbs and different things like that that go through the pores of your skin when your body is warm and the pores are open. These types of chemicals are referred to scientifically as terpenes or terpenoids. Okay, for example, gasoline is a phenylalanine-based terpenoid. It goes right through your skin. It can be cancer-causing. If you're just starting out, in the beginning, you can make a significant amount of progress without the aid of dit da gel. But after you get to a certain point, it becomes a necessity. I can assure you of that, because once you reach a certain age, your body does not heal nearly as quickly as it formerly did when you're growing. It can take up to 7 years for all the cells in your body to completely regenerate. These are scientific facts. Okay, the cortical remodeling process that we spoke of with the osteoclastic cells, okay, that is a process that is commonly referred to in science as quote-unquote Wolf's Law. Okay, now a lot of these guys that, they're throwing around these different terms, this, that, and the other, they don't fully understand it. They haven't put the time in, I'm telling you. Then there is a nutritional requirement in the form of calcium, protein, phosphorus, different things like that, which will repair the damaged soft tissues, skeletal muscle, and the bones themselves. Okay? And then you have to fully understand how different temperatures play an effect on your training. Okay? When to wash cold, when to wash hot. Okay? Cold water, cold air will maximize the amount of oxygen content in the body. Okay, there have been studies done on this. That's why you see these karate guys training under a waterfall, like Gogen Yamaguchi from the Goju-Ryu karate. That's why. It's because it is expediting the healing process from the damage that he has previously done through a process of training to his body. Okay, then we have different things involving respiration and circulation. Okay, in which you want to heat the body up, alright, through a process like warm-up exercises, actual physical training. Okay, that will mobilize the nutrients from the bone marrow itself into the bones, guys. Alright, so you have to know how to wash hot, how to wash cold. You want to expose yourself to the elements. You want to train outside as much as you can. This is completely different, guys, than learning, let's say, like Wing Chun Kung Fu, or Hung Gar, or this, that, or the other, or Taekwondo, or whatever. This is a completely different approach that is both internal and external. Now, speaking about the internal, when people are talking about the internal, what they're talking about is the yi, the intent of the mind, okay, over the body. Meaning, again, we're talking about jing, structure. You have to structure your skeleton and position it in such a manner that it is going to be fully relaxed and fully aligned, meaning no breaks in the chain, so that when you deliver an explosive strike and you release that stored kinetic potential, it is then fajing. It's the explosive release of an animalistic type of energy. Alright, that's what this shit is, guys. So if you're training forms, and you're just collecting forms, this, that, and the other, if you don't know how to kickbox and grapple, there's certain things you're going to want to abandon in favor of other things, especially when you get into the iron body, because you're talking about 100% efficiency, economy of motion, relaxation, which is a huge argument for why people like myself, I train iron body arts after I am fully relaxed, meaning fatigued, almost exhausted, pre-exhausted. I do all my hard bodybuilding and weightlifting exercises with the barbell in the morning when I'm fresh. Okay? I want to get the maximal benefit out of that. If I'm training a fine motor skill, such as an eye jab or a very precise striking combination, again, I'll do that in the morning when I'm fresh, when my testosterone levels are at their peak. Then I might train and I might kickbox for several hours. Maybe I might go for 5 or 6 mile jog or a run, like a run walk type of deal. And then, a full battery stretching and calisthenics. So by the time I get to those iron body exercises, my body is fully relaxed. Okay, full range of motion. All right. This will directly contradict arts like Taekwondo, Tang Soo Do, different kinds of karate, in which you are trained to pull your block with an opposing antagonistic muscle grouping to stop it. Otherwise it would swing out like that, as I said before. Okay? There has to be a barrier there to stop that. Alright? Unless you are fully relaxed and fully aligned. Alright? When you throw a punch like this, with a karate punch, if you don't stop that, okay, if you don't fully align your body, you'll fall off balance, you'll throw yourself off balance, unless there is something to stop that, okay? Common sense, guys. So people who are erroneously training that type of brute force approach, rather than the dexterous force approach that we're talking about with the iron body, with time, they will injure themselves. I can guarantee they will injure themselves. Alright, so now, getting into a more advanced type of approach for you guys that, at this point are still watching. You want to gradually increase the density of the materials that you're striking for your actual bone conditioning exercises with your iron body. Alright? It gets to a point where if you go beyond, let's say, 100 strikes for a particular exercise, a hitting exercise, meaning a relaxation exercise with an accompanying force impact, you can't keep adding reps. It'll take forever. You got these assholes, yes, they are assholes, and they're fucking ignorant, that are saying they're doing 1,000 of this, 1,000 of that. First of all, bullshit. Second of all, they're exposing themselves to the early onset of arthritis. It's too much on the joints, guys. Okay? Rather than do all that, you can still continue to get results with a minimal amount of hitting, if done semi-regularly, just simply by increasing the density or the hardness of the objects that you're hitting. Okay? To a point where it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes. Any more than a half hour a day on those hitting exercises, you are hurting yourself. You are not giving your body enough time to rest and recuperate. Okay? Now, I just want to give you a classic example of what I'm talking about here. Bruce Lee said a karate punch is like an iron bar. Alright? Whereas a kung fu punch is like an iron chain with a hard steel ball at the end of it. Okay, like a fucking wrecking ball. Okay, a wrecking ball. That's what the shit is. So when you are relaxed and you're using that dexterous type of force that Bruce Lee's talking about, every single strike that you do, especially if you're a Jeet Kune Do practitioner, which I happen to be, is an iron body strike done with full impetus, a full intent, okay, to take somebody out of a fight with an injury. Alright, everything you do is done with the express purpose of injuring the other guy, with a fully aligned structure behind that to deliver a maximal, relaxed force impact. Alright, through the target, penetrating into and through the target. Alright, that's what this is. So I hope that I've been able to clarify a few things for you guys about what real Chuan Fa or real Kung Fu is, as it applies to iron body training, and how to logically structure a program behind that. Okay? So when you condition like that, you then develop your arsenal of tools, your natural weapons, so to speak, behind that particularly conditioned body part. Alright? It is to completely reverse from learning moves or technique. Okay? This is something that is the complete opposite of all this. Because the majority of people, what they're doing is they're showing you technique, they're showing you moves or tricks with brute force. And then you have to learn a certain amount of katas that they draw their application from. Yet these are the same people who don't train with contact. They don't spar. They pull their punch. So what that is that is a common modern sport variety in which they have taken out the conditioning aspects of the iron body kung fu arts. Okay, what they're doing is akin to a performance art, okay, for the value of entertainment. Alright, it is something completely different. And unfortunately, chuan fa or kung fu has been erroneously practiced just like that in this country pretty much since it came here, because they were trying to blend in with the Americanized karate culture, okay? Which is why kung fu in this country has become so watered down that these skills that I'm talking on with you guys they're so very difficult to acquire, because there's so very few people that have put the time in with the conditioning year after year, decade after decade, that know it, and vice versa, that are willing to actually teach and share their knowledge openly. Because again, just because you know a certain thing about martial arts or whatever, or anything, does not necessarily mean that you have an obligation to go ahead and teach that and spread that information out. It's why people like Jake Mace and this other asshole, Freddie Lee, and this guy, that guy, and the other guy, frankly, have been so successful with social media and YouTube and able to make the money that they've been able to make, is because the general people, they're not... The general populace, they're not educated to know the difference. So when they watch somebody do, let's say, like a karate performance, where they're doing like a kata, which is like a prearranged, choreographed set routine, and they watch that, and then they watch somebody else do like a kung fu routine or taekwondo, it all looks the same to them. It all looks the same. They don't know how to tell the difference, especially with the breaking. A kung fu iron hand or an iron palm technique, as it's known here in the West, is a fully relaxed slapping, whipping motion, whereas a karate style break, they put spacers. Okay, in kung fu there's no space, it's pancaked. Alright? Maybe sometimes to the floor, with virtually no support structure at all. Well, with the karate, they put spacers, they put chopsticks in between, pencils, tile pieces. You catch my drift, to create a kinetic chain of events so that one breaks the next. It's not authentic iron body. That, and instead of using a whipping motion, they're using more of a thrusting motion like this guy's, which is brute force, using body weight, momentum, two different things. Oftentimes you see them jumping off of the ground to use gravity when they project that force through those targets. Two different things, guys. Okay? You watch a karate guy, when they go to throw a punch, there's a lot of pivoting involved, a lot of rotation of the hips. The stress is going to be on the joints, guys. Alright? Whereas when you watch a fully trained kung fu guy, which is rare to see, but it's a pleasure to see because it's so rare, you will see somebody who is fully relaxed, who is fully linked, who is using a whipping motion of his waist, of his muscles, okay, in a relaxed fashion with a minimal amount of primary muscular contraction to whip that in there and then antagonistically pull it back. Alright? So after that initial whip-like impact, there will be an even further relaxation so that that person can activate an opposing muscle group to retract, to recoil, to reload that strike so they continue to whip that in there with their waist. Two entirely different things. We're talking about brute force versus dexterous force, guys. So these are different things that you're going to want to look at in combination with the vital aspects of the human anatomy. We're talking about target selection here, okay? Primary targets, nerve strikes, different things like that. Different medicated ointments, commonly referred to as dittajia. How do you eat for optimal athletic sports performance. You have to train more like an athlete. I've been saying this for a while, okay? This talk I'm giving you guys is worth so much more than if you took lessons with somebody for years, okay? Because I'm telling you how you can figure it out on your own, okay? You will need someone to show you the conditioning exercises who is qualified, but after that it comes down to you and how far you want to go with this, how much effort you want to put into this, all right? You're going to need to understand physics, okay? Leverage principles, all right? Things like that. These are some things that you guys are going to want to start looking into, and also supplementation, nutrient supplementation, different supplements, creatine, vitamins, vitamin C, different things like that. Maybe even weight gainers, protein powders, all right? Although be careful with that, they tend to put a lot of sugars in those guys. And you'll find that your body's going to crave protein, crave calcium, crave carbohydrates, but you're going to start rejecting simple sugars. You're going to start rejecting oils and fats simply because they get in the way of proper nutrient absorption into the body, all right? So, stay hydrated, vitamin up, get the minerals up in your body. One thing you definitely watch out for, guys, is there's a lot of distilled water which is being advertised as quote-unquote purified water, which will distill, it will take the vitamins and minerals right out of you, it'll leach them right out of your body, all right? Swear to God. Make sure you're reading the labels, okay? The water here has a lot of lead and radioactivity in it. I have to buy water, all right? I don't drink water off the tap. It's disgusting. So these are different things you guys are going to want to look into. And, again, optimal sports performance. Are you getting to the gym? Are you lifting the barbells? Are you performing your exercises, your iron body exercises while fully relaxed, okay, with a whipping motion, all right, and a full range of motion, all right? These are different things that are going to give you and report back to you, all right? It's like a confidence building exercise in a sense. And that's exactly what the braking is. It takes a certain amount of applied pounds per square inch to break these inanimate objects. It's a confidence builder. It lets you know what you can and can't do. What your capability is if you were to have to hit somebody. All right? And then again, generally speaking, you hit soft targets with hard tools. You hit soft targets with sharp tools, okay? So you got a hard and soft type of approach. Here's some things for you guys to think about. Keep it simple, all right? Keep your method simple but progressive and refine it as you go, all right? So like anything else, cut away at the unessentials. You don't need 1,000 hits a day, guys. You don't need this guy's did Dajjal because he happens to be, the man, He's probably breaking fake bricks anyway. Most of those guys are, or it's not what they say it is, okay? So, be very leery, be very skeptical, be very, very skeptical about what these guys are doing and what they're saying until you see it, until you train it. Because I tell you, until you have trained 7 days a week for 3 to 4 hours per day, you don't know anything yet. You don't even know how to properly get through a warm-up, all right? So I hope this is helping. And again, you could try to copy me, but if you try to copy what somebody else is doing, you're going to get hurt. It's not going to help you. So this is the common sense talk for the week. Hope this helps you.